Hello everyone, welcome to our second topic, the nervous system architecture and pain pathways. We will talk about the divisions of the nervous system and the function of each. We will also talk about some specific neurotransmitters and their roles, and we will understand the pain pathway, both the ascending and the descending pain control pathways. So what is the nervous system? The nervous system is the body's complex network of neurons and supporting cells that transmit nerve impulses between parts of the body, coordinating actions and transmitting sensory information. The nervous system is divided into two main parts, the central nervous system, the CNS, and the peripheral nervous system, the PNS. The central nervous system is composed of two main parts, the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system includes all the nerves that branch out from the brain and the spinal cord to the rest of the body. So it is composed of all the nerves that are outside the brain and the spinal cord. The CNS, as we said, is composed from the brain and of the spinal cord. It is in charge of processing everything. It takes in information from our senses and decides what to do with it, and it will send out responses. It is the side of integration and command. Now, the peripheral nervous system, as we said, it consists of all the nerves extending outside the CNS. It acts as a communication between the central nervous system and the rest of the body, including the limbs and the internal organ. The peripheral nervous system is divided into two parts, a voluntary part and an involuntary part. The voluntary part is called the somatic nervous system. The involuntary part is the autonomic nervous system. Now we will talk about each. So the somatic nervous system helps you do things you choose to do. As we said, it is voluntary. It is responsible for our voluntary movement. We decide that we want to move. Signals are sent from the brain through motor neurons to the muscles so that we can move. Also, the somatic nervous system is responsible of sensory processing. It sends information from our skin and muscles to the brain. And the last function is the reflex actions, like the reflex of pulling our hand away from something hot without needing to think. The autonomic nervous system, which takes care of things you don't think about, like breathing, like our heartbeat, like our digestion. It is composed of two parts, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is also called the fight or flight response, which is activated when we are in stress or when we are in danger. So for example, it will increase our heart rate, it will dilate our pupils so we can see better, it will slow our digestion to convert our blood flow from the stomach to our brain so we can think better. And we have the parasympathetic nervous system that is mainly dominating during our sleep. It promotes the rest and digest state, so it will slow our heart rate, it will increase our digestion, and it will constrict our pupil during the night. You should know that the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system have opposite functions on our internal organs. The sympathetic nervous system dilates our pupil, whereas the parasympathetic constricts it. The sympathetic increases our heartbeat, whereas the parasympathetic slows our heartbeat. The sympathetic nervous system relaxes our airways, whereas the parasympathetic constricts our airways, and thereafter you can read them on your own. Now we will talk about neurotransmitters and their effects. As we said in the previous lecture, neurotransmitters are responsible to communicate one neuron to another. They are chemical messengers, and their effect can be excitatory or inhibitory depending on the receptor they bind to. So for example, we have many types of neurotransmitters. We have the acetylcholine, norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, GABA, glutamate, substance P, enkephalin, and each one of those have a specific function that is different from the other. For example, we start with the acetylcholine. It is released at the neuromuscular junction, and it is mainly used by the parasympathetic nerves. It is excitatory on the skeletal muscles and also can be inhibitory on the heart, so it can slow the heartbeat. We have the norepinephrine, which is excitatory. It increases the heart rate, and also it can be inhibitory depending on the receptor type. We have the dopamine, which is involved in reward, motivation, movement. It is both excitatory or inhibitory, and sometimes it is deficient, and it will lead to a disease called Parkinson's disease, which will lead to very slow movements because dopamine is responsible for movement. So when it is deficient, it will lead to very slow movements that is present in the Parkinson's disease. We have the serotonin, which is mainly affects the mood, the appetite, sleep, learning, and it is often inhibitory, and low levels are linked to depression and anxiety. We have the GABA neurotransmitter, which is mainly inhibitory. It reduces neuronal excitability, preventing overexcitation. That's why in medications we use GABA agonist as a medication to decrease neural pain. We have the glutamate, and it is a major excitatory neurotransmitter. It promotes neuronal firing. We have the substance P, which is also excitatory. It enhances transmission of pain, so it is primarily involved in transmitting pain signals in the spinal cord. And lastly, we have the enkephalin, which is an endogenous opioid that inhibits pain pathways. It is inhibitory, so it will lead to the decreasing the sensation of pain. It will block the substance P release, so it is a natural analgesic from the body. Now we will move to our third objective, which is the pain pathway. Pain is a complex, vital, protective sensory signal. It is protective because when we feel pain, we will know that there is something wrong in our body, so that we can go to the doctor, we can take medications, and etc. The pain pathways, pain has two pathways. It has an ascending pathway and it has a descending pathway. So let's start with the ascending pain pathway, also called the sensory transmission. So for example, let's say that I injured my finger with a knife. The pain will start at nociceptors that are present inside my finger. Those nociceptors, they are special nerve endings that will detect harmful stimuli. They will send signals to the spinal cord and then will go up to the brainstem and to the thalamus, and from the thalamus they will go up to the cerebral cortex that will receive the signal, and then I will become aware of the pain of the knife. So here we have three order neurons. The first order neuron here, first order neuron is this neuron, the neuron that sends signal through the spinal cord, which is the sensory neuron, is the first order neuron. Here it will synapse with the second order neuron, which is here in green. The second order neuron will transmit the pain signal to the thalamus, and then the second order neuron will synapse with the third order neuron, that is in blue, that will transmit the signal to the cerebral cortex. As we talked about earlier, we have neurotransmitters that are involved in pain pathway. We have the substance P and the glutamate. Both of them increases pain sensation, whereas enkephalins and endorphins act the opposite way. They decrease pain sensation by blocking substance P. Now the second pain pathway, which is the descending or the modulatory pathway. The brain also has a way to reduce pain, and this is by using the descending pathway. It will send signals down to the spinal cord that will release natural opioids like the enkephalins that we talked about earlier, which is a neurotransmitter that we talked about here. And these will reduce how much pain signal is sent upward to the brain. It's like the brain has its own built way in painkillers. It is a natural painkiller. This is the descending pain pathway in green. The descending fibers will start from the midbrain. This is the periaqueductal gray matter inside the midbrain. The midbrain is part of the brain. These fibers will descend to the spinal cord, and they will activate inhibitory interneurons inside the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. And these interneurons will release the endogenous opioids like enkephalins, which will bind to opioid receptors to reduce the release of excitatory neurotransmitters like substance P, and thereby diminishing the pain signal reaching the brain. This is how natural analgesia occurs. So we've come to the end of our lecture. I hope I was able to make you understand this topic clearly. You can expect questions in your exam on the divisions of the nervous system and the function of each, the roles of each neurotransmitters, and the components of the ascending and descending pain pathways. I have prepared for you some questions you can solve on your own, and the answers are present. Thank you.